And we're live.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 87 of Kids Deserve It. We hope you've been enjoying our weekly chats with educators and game changers from around the country. Also, don't forget, you can check us out on iTunes.
And don't forget, while you're on iTunes, you can leave us a review as we select a winner each week to an autographed book set from Adam and me.
Also, don't forget to join our Kids Deserve It chat on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. This week, we got another great guest, but first, we want to introduce ourselves. I am Adam Welcome, Director of Innovation in the Bay Area of California.
I am Todd Nesloni, Elementary School Principal in Navasota, Texas, and we are thrilled this week to have our special guest, Tom Murray. Tom, thanks for being here this week.
What's up, guys? Glad to be here, and I'm glad to be in your top 87, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty awesome.
We want to thank our viewers for watching, and remember, you can participate in social media using the hashtag KidsDeserveIt.
So, Tom, we got a few questions for you. So, for those that don't know about you, man, tell us about yourself.
What's up, everybody? Tom Murray here, the Director of Innovation for Future Ready Schools, which is a bipartisan nonprofit. We're out to support school leaders in any way that we can. We don't sell a darn thing. We are just out to support. We are grant funded in different ways, and we are here to support kids and serve kids. So I encourage people to check out Future Ready, the opportunity to be the Director of Innovation for that. So I get to work from coast to coast with school leaders that are awesome, just like the two of you. So thanks for having me on today, guys.
Nice.
So you've been a teacher, principal, and now Director of Innovation for Future Ready. What do you love most about just working in education in general?
That's easy. It's kids. You know, we are all here to serve kids. We're here to love and care about kids. I know that is something that you guys completely practice and preach throughout. Kids deserve it. And that's why we're here. You know, and I think sometimes we lose sight of that. We lose sight of why we do what we do with accountability and testing and all the things that understandably weigh us down. But at the end of the day, we're here to serve kids. And having my own two little ones, I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. It is their lens that I try and see things through. It is their future that I'm working to prepare them for. And so as I get to work nationally, and I feel really blessed in doing that, first and foremost, I'm here to serve kids.
So big news a few months ago, Tom. You wrote a book called Learning Transform with Eric Sheninger. I have a copy. I love it. Just recently got released. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So Eric, my co-author, a good friend of mine, you know, we do a lot of the same types of work. We do a lot of work with school leaders from coast to coast, and wherever we are, we get lots of questions in lots of different ways. Some really good questions. How do we make sure the work we're doing is sustainable? How do we engage the community? As we're transforming learning, how do we make it personal? What do we do to transform learning spaces, and so on and so forth? So Eric and I spent about a year researching what is it that actually is working in schools. You know, I think what I see often and doing a lot, and you guys do a lot of conferences as well, and you guys work as well for, you know, across the entire United States. There's so much out there that is kind of almost like this pie in the sky mentality, in my opinion. I want to know, what is it that actually works? If we're going to be working with superintendents, or we're going to be working with principals, we want to be able to show them, like, here's an example of what it is that actually works. And so in writing Learning Transformed, we really moved from research. We have over about 190 research citations throughout, whether it's talking about learning spaces or engaging the community or professional learning, to back things up with research. So if I'm a school leader standing in front of a board, or if I'm working with a faculty, or I'm a teacher and I want to make sure what I'm doing really makes a lot of sense, we give people the evidence to back it up. But then we also show what it looks like in practice. And we've got over 20 different practitioners in the story: superintendents of the year, principals of the year, teachers of the year, CIO of the year, that are leading the way, but showing what were the issues that they faced, what is it that they did, how did they overcome it, and then where are they going? So we really tried to move things from research to practice, but be really practical in helping people solve issues such as equity. And I shouldn't say solve, because that's always going to be an ongoing thing, but attack issues on things such as equity, or things such as the effective use of technology, or engaging the community well. So lots of different ways to be able to look at it. It's been a great book. ASCD gave us lots of feedback. It's doing really, really well. And we're proud of that. We also feel blessed that a lot of teams and a lot of administrators are out there buying, a lot of school leaders and principals are out there buying it. And we're really blessed by that. So it's going great, and had the opportunity to write it. I'm fortunate to be able to do so.
Nice.
I love that. So, Tom, you also do a lot of speaking. What do you enjoy most about that work and kind of meeting and working with educators?
Yeah, and again, it comes down to people. I'm a people person. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy also being able to learn from others. Todd, you and I were able to keynote Texas ASCD together, and I enjoy being able to go and learn from people like you all, or the teacher that's a third or fourth year teacher, and they're trying something new in the classroom, and enjoy learning from them too. So one of the things, yes, I get to speak in front of thousands of people every year, just like you guys do, and I feel very, very blessed by that. However, it gives me the opportunity to connect and network with amazing people that are doing amazing things, that are pushing my thinking, that are showing me what it looks like in their schools, that helps me then tell their story as well and share some of the great work they're doing. So what I really appreciate most about it is to be able to see and hear the stories that are going on in schools around the country to highlight. There is so much negativity out there about schools, so much negativity about education, but it doesn't reflect the amazing teachers and the amazing leaders that I get to work with from coast to coast, that I get to meet at conferences and meet at different places, and being able to do that. And so whether it's people like you, whether it's the first year teacher, whether it's a really veteran teacher that I get to see, I get to learn from other people as well. And I never want to stop learning, truly. I don't want to forget where I came from. I don't want to stop learning, and being able to connect with people around the country enables me to do that.
So, Tom, thinking about this year coming up, what is one thing you're working on with growth for yourself this coming year?
Sure. Adam, one of the things is I've actually been doing a lot of reading in non-educational books. I've been doing a lot of reading related to leadership and business, marketing and business. And here's what I mean by that. I think sometimes we think education is completely separate and entirely its own sector. But let me give you an example. One of the things I've been reading is taking a look at things like, for instance, Salesforce. And you think, like, well, what does that have to do with education? When we're talking about marketing our school or branding our school or sharing our great story, sometimes we've got to step back and be like, don't you think that Coca-Cola, who spends millions of dollars on branding and sharing their story, or Disney, don't you think they've got it figured out a few more steps ahead of the average principal? And I don't say that in a negative way towards a principal. They're doing great things, but these companies are spending billions of dollars a year in quite often in things like marketing and sharing their brand. And it's why the average 2 or 3 year old can look at certain logos like Disney or McDonald's or those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. We can learn from that. And so some of the stuff that I've been doing for my own growth is really reading business-oriented books from other sectors to see what's working from them. Absolutely, there's times and places where it's different. We're in the people business, and we are in the greatest sector in the world by far when we talk about education. But there are absolutely a lot of parallels. So I find myself reading a lot of those types of books, business books, finance books, marketing type books, to help us to translate that to helping schools to do it there as well. We'll let the businesses do the multi-million-dollar research studies. We can learn from them, and then we'll take their lessons learned, and then we'll share it out.
100%.
So what was school like for you growing up, Tom?
Here's what's really interesting for me, Todd. I grew up in a relatively white suburban neighborhood in New York. I was very blessed to have 2 parents at home. You know what that did for me? No, I think I really took that for granted throughout. It wasn't something I thought a whole lot of. But one of my passions, Todd, that's really come out in the past few years is this notion of equity, is this notion of recognizing my own privilege and recognizing that I had far more, and just even a middle-class neighborhood where I lived. My parents weren't wealthy, but they did well enough that I wasn't worried about my next meal, or I wasn't worried about coming to school like dirty or not having nice clothes to wear. And so it's really given me the passion to support kids, especially that don't remotely have what I just took for granted growing up. And so I had a really good experience where I was, but I was in a school that was probably pretty well funded in New York. But I totally recognize in my career, as I've been able to work in some of the poorest areas of our country, that so many of our nation's children don't have the experience that I had. And part of me feels that natural guilt of, why me? Because I didn't do anything to deserve that. It was the privilege in the way that I was born and where I was born. But it's given me the opportunity. Part of the work that we do at the Alliance for Excellent Education, as well as through Future Ready Schools, is this notion of equity and really focusing on traditionally underserved students. And so my own experience of my own privilege and where I grew up has really given me the passion to support those, especially children that don't remotely have that. And so I took a good experience and a very privileged experience to try and support those that don't have that. And it's part of our mission at the Alliance, and it's part of our core values at Future Ready Schools. And so I'm honored to be able to do a lot of that work to support as many kids that I can in traditionally underserved areas.
Nice. So, Tom, a lot of people, you're super connected, but who is someone that inspires or challenges you to be better?
Sure. I'm a big John Maxwell fan. John is somebody that really I really respect. He's somebody that does a lot of speaking. He's somebody that does a lot of leadership type stuff. I look at his work the work that he has on leadership and being people oriented and leading with the heart is just truly something that I've aspired to. It's something that I've really looked towards. He's somebody. I'll give you another one, Daniel Pink. It's somebody that I've gotten to know a little bit. He endorsed Learning Transform. We were really honored by that. He's just a brilliant mind, and he's got a new book coming out on the when. And it's just fascinating to me. He's somebody that can truly dive into research and make comparisons in places like education. And I just look up to him for how brilliant he is and how he can make sense of things that may not seem related, but when they come together, they completely are related or have very significant overlaps to education. So I'll go with John Maxwell and Dan Pink.
Nice.
Love it. So Tom, we all have those days where it's a rough day and we just don't want to get out of bed or we're just over things. What do you kind of do to kick your butt into gear on those kind of days?
Yeah, gee, they happen all the time, do they not? And I think any of us that are human that will admit to it have those days that we'd rather stay in bed or sleep in or not work late or not do work on the weekends. You know, it's going back to what I opened with, Todd, and that's taking a look at my own children. What is it that I want for them? What is it for the teacher? And fortunately, they're in an amazing spot. Paisley has an incredible teacher this year. Caden's not there yet. He's in preschool. But you know, what is it that I would want for them? And I look at it as that's my responsibility to give back to others to that same degree. It wouldn't be fair of me to expect that for service to my own children, but me not to be able to give that back. And so I think it comes down to heart. It comes down to passion. And when you're tired and you know, you guys, you've written as well, and you've been up early writing or up late writing, and that next day comes, it's looking in the eyes of my own children. What is it that they deserve? And what can I then give back to others? And it's got to at least match the parallel that I'd expect from my own children.
All right, Tom, every week we like our guests to leave a challenge for our viewers. What is your challenge for the week?
So challenge for the week, I would say, is this. We hit a lot of topics in Learning Transformed, from leadership to school culture, from things like learning spaces and professional learning. My challenge for this is here. You know, one of the pieces that I've noticed, guys, is that working in so many different schools, I've been in some of the poorest schools in our country, poorest districts in our country, and I've seen amazingly innovative things happen. You know what it comes down to? It comes down to leadership and school culture in that school where that's absolutely happening. One of the things when I get to keynote a lot of events, one of the things that I often get to challenge teachers with is this. When you walk into the faculty room, do you build the energy up or do you suck the air right out? Because I really believe that every single one of us either builds culture or tears culture down every single day, one step at a time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think teachers can look and say, well, their principal causes a toxic environment. And you know what? That might be true. But that person is just as responsible for the culture of that building as is every single staff member and team member in that building. And so my challenge to you is this. When you walk into that faculty room or even admin, when you walk into that faculty meeting per se, do you build the energy up? Or do you suck the air right out? Which one are you? Because every single one of our kids deserves the type of environment. There's your kids deserve it right there. Deserves the type of environment where they're building the energy up, because our kids absolutely do deserve it.
I love it. Well, nice. Tom, thank you so much for being a guest with us this week. I love the work that you do and the great perspective that you bring. So I appreciate you giving us some of your time as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the shout to Learning Transformed. And I'll give anybody else out there, just so you know, it does come with a free study guide. You can look that up. It's published through ASCD. And guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate your friendship. And thanks for having me on tonight. Even though I guess I'm number 87, but have success and kudos to the work.
Special number.
Yeah. Kudos to the work you're doing as well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
We want to thank everybody for watching the show as well. Remember, you can tweet us out using the hashtag KidsDeserveIt. We encourage you to go on iTunes, leave that review for that free book set, and leave your Twitter handle so we can contact you. Make sure you also join our chats every Wednesday. See you all for the next episode.